This was put by the Chinese ambassador in London. He said, China is not a communist country, but it has a communist government. Once you look at the government in China or the party in China, it's quite remarkable how it still runs on Soviet hardware. The core of the party's power, that sort of sits there like a kryptonite, if you like, that you can't touch, and that is the power over the PLA, personnel and propaganda, media, even though media is a lot more open than, as Jeffrey says, than people sometimes acknowledge. The core instruments of power, I think, have not changed and, in fact, solidified or calcified. Take your pick.
And I guess I have a question about the issue of inequality, about which we've heard so much recently.
You know, China in a funny way is has aspects of the States, I think. It's very aspirational in that respect. The problem is not so much, I mean, the rich-poor gap is a problem, but the problem is more how it's created. You don't have theft of state assets on the scale you have in the former Soviet Union, but you have small-scale theft or exploitation of state assets, particularly land, all over the country. And that is almost one of the major reasons for unrest there. So I think it's a major issue, but the issue is not so much the gap, it's the way the gap is created. And I think if you don't have some kind of political reform, that will be perpetuated. It will get worse and then will really, eat up the system. And partly because I think so many of the princelings are rich. One of the other things in the Wall Street Journal article on Saturday, the FT, for example, had a very interesting article about a year or two ago about princelings in private equity. And the daughter of the person in charge of media was working in media for Credit Suisse private equity department. So that's what you call a synergy or a conflict of interest, depending on how you look at it. But also I think one of the fascinating things about princelings is while they do have great wealth in China, they still seem to feel the need to get an insurance policy outside of China, even powerful people inside China as well. So while they look very powerful from the outside, I think they're close enough to understand that how precarious things are and their own potential insecurity.